punching a helicopter this far, requiring anywhere from 14 million to 20 million joules of energy. Despite being called a super punch, this isn't even close to his full strength in base, as a light tap from Henry allowed him to completely pulverize this case, requiring almost 0.16 tons of TNT, around small building level plus. Additionally, due to being relative to characters that can harm him, his AP should scale relative to his durability. This is important because Henry can take a lot of punishment. At best though, he survived Charles ramming the top hat orbital station with 882 tons of TNT of force, putting him into the multi-city block plus ranges of power. Moving on from his base stats now, in one route, Henry has access to cybernetic enhancements, which allows him to create a big blast equivalent to 164 kilotons of TNT, which is large town level. As for speed, he is able to react to and dodge gunfire, reaching speeds anywhere from subsonic to hypersonic plus. His peak of speed once again comes from the cybernetic enhancements, as when he was going as fast as he could, he was able to fly at over 4,000 times the speed of sound to reach the top hat airship, giving him massively hypersonic plus speed. While he does have items that increase his speed even further than this, these aren't really all that relevant, as the Lightspeed Scooter and the Speed Shoes only increase his travel speeds, since his reactions clearly didn't scale to his speed, and the energy drink gives him a fucking heart attack. So that's his stats taken care of, but anyone who knows Henry Stickmin knows that where he really shines is his abilities, items, and hacks. Henry seems to be supernaturally lucky, being able to find whatever items he needs to complete his mission either just lying around, or in some kind of a hammer space that he has. There are hundreds of items, skills, and techniques that he has used throughout his 5 games. I'll just list off some of the most notable ones and what they give him. He's skilled in combat, stealth, hacking, and more. He also has access to a lot of weapons, including swords, guns, boomerangs, explosives, etc. Said explosives can be as potent as over 600 megatons of TNT, which is Mountain Plus. He can turn himself intangible and invisible, duplicate himself, perform the Metaborn fusion dance, stretch his body, fly, abuse the physics of his own game, grow and shrink things, draw things into existence, perform magic, harness the elements, create force fields, manipulate gravity, travel through time, self-destruct, and a lot more. Now all that's pretty cool, but it pales in comparison to his crazier stuff. With the Downgrader, he can reduce the entire universe to just lines and dots, rendering equipment pretty much useless. With the Transdimensionalizer, he can manipulate spatial dimensions. With his cybernetic enhancements, he can summon his spirit, reference, that can punch you into an alternate timeline of his choosing, where events may have played out differently in the past. For example, when he used it on Right-Hand Man Reborn, he punched him into a timeline where he never got his cybernetic enhancements. With the Corruptic and Goodball, he can mess with the game itself and possibly its entire cosmology. He can also turn himself and others into various things. And of course, his most powerful ability is his Distraction Dance, which causes everyone else to immediately start dancing, and it's so iconic that it even made it into Fortnite. Speaking of Fortnite, I have a creator code now. You can use code CometFlame in the Fortnite item shop to support me. You know, it really helps out, you know? You should give me money. Alright, for real, his actually potentially most broken ability is his ability to save and load. Now, it's questionable whether this is a canonical thing that he can do or not. We know that every fail and success is a different timeline that exists within the cosmology, and there are the options of saving and loading a save that each appear once in the franchise, implying that this is a thing that he can consciously do and control. It's also implied that he remembers all the times that the teleporter failed him throughout the series, meaning he might remember these fails as well. However, there are some holes in this logic. The load save power seems to function a little differently than retrying, as he doesn't need to fail to do it, and he was only able to load back in time a couple seconds where he presumably set that save. And the save option didn't really do anything to help him. If he himself could canonically retry like the player can in the game, why wouldn't he just travel back enough to be able to make a different decision that isn't the exact one he was just in? Similarly, the save state option doesn't really do anything for him, as he doesn't even go back to that save state when he gets killed immediately after saving, showing that he doesn't automatically reload the save when he dies. Also, there are some endings where Henry fails and just kinda lives with it. The most prevalent examples being the Valiant Hero ending, where Charles dies, and the Revenge ending, where Henry himself dies. If he could just consciously retry after death, why doesn't he just do it here? Due to all these factors, I think it's debatable at best to say that the retry system is an innate ability that Henry has, and not just a game mechanic. He still would definitely be able to load a save, but he would have to set a save state during the fight and consciously load it instead of just respawning when dying. Now, while Henry may seem like a monstrously powerful character from all this, he's not without his weaknesses. In fact, his largest weakness is also the cause of his greatest strengths: his luck. While he is supernaturally lucky in terms of finding useful items, more times than not, these items end up backfiring on him in supernaturally unlucky ways. Therefore, a big factor of winning or losing his fight is how lucky he gets with his available resources. Additionally, while he does have items that can affect the entire universe and possibly multiverse, he isn't immune to some of their effects, like how he was downgraded by the downgrader and corrupted by the corrupt tick. So overall, for AP and durability, he would scale to multi-city block plus in base, large town with cybernetic enhancements, and up to mountain plus with explosives. He would have hypersonic speed in base, with massively hypersonic plus for his cybernetic enhancements, and way too many hacks and abilities to list. So, how he was also able to tank a blast from a staff wielding the power of 2 Minecraft game icons, which was affecting and threatening to destroy several separate universes simultaneously, meaning that his durability and by extension his AP scales all the way to low multiverse. His absolute peak though, he scales to Euler's number, creating a shape with infinite spatial dimensions, making him high hyperversal. As for speed, in Animation vs Physics, TSC is able to react to an apple that was thrown out of a black hole, while on a rocket traveling 99% the speed of light. Since it was able to escape a black hole, this apple would be moving at least faster than light speeds. While he was caught off guard by it and didn't catch it or anything, he clearly reacts to the apple before it hits him, likely granting him around relativistic plus reaction speed. Was also able to react to and catch Q-Bird falling from space at over 1,000 times the speed of light in Animation vs Arcade games, granting TSC massively faster than light plus combat speed. And shields. He can even draw sentient living creatures, anything from a hawk to a shark. If he doesn't have the pencil handy, he can also just make whatever out of one-dimensional strings. However, it seems that he could easily overexert himself in this state, as he soon collapses after absolutely no diffing in Amp Dark Lord, and entirely forgets what happened. So overall, I have the second comes AP at high universal at the low end, low multiversal at mid end, and high hyperversal at absolute peak. He has relativistic plus to potentially infinite combat speed. Take a look at the power scaling, since I know someone's gonna bring this up in the comments if I don't mention it. Yes, Henry Stickmin briefly appears in the montage of the Chosen One and the Dark Lord terrorizing the internet, fleeing with the rest of the Stickmen on Stick page. Now, one could assume that this means that the Second Coming just straight up wins on his adventure. So let's try to figure out who'd win with both of their full arsenals. Another thing that makes this matchup a little strange is that they're thinking about debatably infinite respawn. However, they both also likely have a way around their opponent's infinite respawning. Since green respawning was likely tied to Minecraft mechanics, this might get nullified if Henry could get rid of the Minecraft game icon, like how it nullified TSC's ability to access his hotbar. Similarly, Henry's retries can be nullified by the Second Coming's manipulation of the game mechanics and UI, as he could literally just destroy the retry button. Now, by the way, looking at the stats, it's pretty clear which one of them has the upper hand. Even if you disagree with the high hit reversal meta, the Second Coming's AP, speed, and durability still absolutely dwarf Henry's with his best equivalent, potentially to an infinite degree. His lower end scaling is still so far above Henry's entire arsenal that stacking more infinities on top of infinities doesn't really change much. From other canon videos still being so far above Henry's. So TSC is way stronger and faster, but what do Henry's hacks bring to the table? Well, a lot of the abilities that might seem like game changers at first can be countered easily by the Second Coming stats, or his own hacks and abilities. Henry might know some cool fighting combos, but that is nowhere near TSC's mastery of both hand-to-hand and various weapons. Henry can bend the elements to create force fields, but TSC can just punch him really hard. Henry can manipulate gravity, but TSC is surviving inside of a multiversal black hole. Henry can draw whatever he wants into existence, but TSC can do the same thing and is way better at it. He does have a few win cons, if he's lucky enough that is. Reference could punch TSC into a timeline where Alan never downloaded Minecraft, or where he was named something different, since names are what give animations power in AVA. Henry could also potentially turn TSC into a leaf, or a liquid, or a bug. He could even reflect TSC's own laser attacks back at him, and there's likely ways that he could win from items that I haven't even considered. So he does have a couple win cons, but even though Henry's abilities that can one-shot the Second Coming, on top of the extremely low chance of these win cons happening, the massive gap in speed would make it difficult to land said killing blow. Like, if he wanted to, TSC could just one-shot Henry before he has time to save, or summon his spirit, or do literally anything. So he would have to not get immediately splattered across the desktop by a bloodlusted TSC, use one of the options that could potentially give him the win, get lucky enough for said thing not to backfire hilariously against a foe who can boost his own luck with potions, and land a hit on a guy who can react near the speed of light at worst and could easily one-shot him. And for TSC to win, he just has to punch him really hard. Even if he managed to save at a point that doesn't cause an infinite loop like it did in the game, he would have to constantly load it without dying, and it's possible that TSC can rewind time before Henry saved. And that's not even taking into account the sizable amount of hacks that TSC has, like Existence Eraser, Telekinesis, buffs, etc. So overall, while Henry certainly has win cons, I see the Second Coming winning this fight way more times than not. Like, he honestly doesn't even need to awaken his powers.